That's how this is going to go. Oh, wait. I have to stop this part. Okay. That's our pre-show. Okay. Here we go, everybody. You know the drill. Let's just get ready here. Let me pause this. Okay, cool. We don't have any of that. Okay, good. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Close that. Do not need that. Okay, now I only have what I need. Here comes. This is the show, everyone. Enjoy in 3, 2, 1.
We'll put a peanut on one end of the string and a stick on the other. We'll hang the two ends through a wire screen. This time, Squeak has to do more than pull the string. He has to pull the right end. Will he find the end with the nut? There must be something to eat around here someplace. Let's put another peanut on the string.
Ask about horses again, I'll slap you red.
The morning stream. Can I eat it, or will it eat me?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TMS. It's Thursday, March 30th, 2023. I'm Scott Johnson. He's Brian Ibbett. Hello.
I am. Just wrapping up a wonderful sneezing fit that I had just as that music was kicking in.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Those are...
Glad it wasn't on camera because I kind of sneeze like Freddie Mercury at Live Aid. Like basically, achoo! With my hands straight up, the other hand covering my mouth.
Yeah. Who wants to live forever? That kind of thing. You're just ready to rock.
Exactly. Yes. That's the Queen song you go to.
I love that song. I think it's
a good song, but
even though it's written for a frickin' Highlander,
yeah,
I love it. It's one of my favorites.
Does Mercury do all the vocals in that, or does he share vocals with? It feels like
I don't know.
There might be parts in there with Brian May singing. Maybe not.
Maybe.
I don't know.
He's going, I'm an astrophysicist with a degree.
There's no time for us.
Yeah. I think that song is great. I'm not besmirching TV's Travis. Listen, I'm just saying it's a movie. Usually when something's written for a movie, we take it slightly less seriously than we do something that was written, just for an album.
To dream forever.
And Brian knows all the lyrics.
Where love must die.
Yeah, there it is. It's really good.
Anyway.
You won't hear me say this about Flash Gordon. I don't like that song.
No.
I think it's annoying. So, it doesn't work every time for me.
Oh, that whole soundtrack is cheeseball. I mean, what you do get Brian May doing the wedding march. I wonder if anybody has ever used the Brian May guitar heavy instrumental of the wedding march for their actual wedding.
Oh my gosh, somebody somewhere.
Somebody has to. Is it the wedding? Yeah, it is the wedding march.
Somebody with like hardcore Queen addiction. They love the Queen,
Yeah.
And they're like, we're getting married. What do you want to do? Let's make it Queen themed.
Exactly.
Have like a Freddie Mercury cake with a big tooth hanging out of it.
I could see. Oh, jeez. He had two. He had two big front teeth.
Sure.
It's not like he was.
Yeah. You'd only have to make the cake with one, though.
Why?
I don't know. Just a little fondant tooth sticking out of there. Why not?
If you're going to do one, do two.
All right.
Otherwise, it's like a white trash trailer tooth kind of. Hey, welcome to my wedding cake.
Yeah, I kind of like that too, though. For some reason, I feel like
shotgun sticking out of one part and a single tooth sticking out of the top.
That's right. I would visit your wedding. I would go to that wedding. I would leave a gift. I would have a real hootenanny. I'd eat whatever snacks you got there at your wedding. I'd go to your redneck wedding. I would totally go there.
Besides, one tooth sticking out of it just looks like somebody dropped a stray Chicklet somewhere near the wedding cake. If you have two, at least it's like, oh, that looks intentional. I guess those are teeth.
Yeah, the chances of two Chicklets getting tossed in there, low chance. Yeah. Well, anyway, you're back. How'd things go? How was your rest of your trip?
It was a good second day. Yeah, I gave back a little bit of the money. I felt bad, so I gave back a little bit of the money that I won on Tuesday from various craps and slots and stuff like that. I did play a little bit. I had some really good luck. Played in the area that is I think it's called the Brian Christopher non-smoking slot zone or something like that. I don't know who this guy is. I want to say he's another podcaster that somehow got to be friends with the Plaza folks a lot sooner than there it is, Brian Christopher Slots, a lot sooner than we did. Otherwise, I think it would have been us. we could have easily talked them into the TMS slot zone. Oh, I guess he's a YouTuber. There we go. He basically does YouTube videos of him playing slots, and it's funny. It's like, I landed the impossibly hard to get bonus for a comeback. Like, it took some skill.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know why those things are really popular, especially those streams.
They are.
I don't know why that's popular. I mean, I get why people like slots. I get it. There's this game of chance. You might win, and you win. Ding, 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 ding. It's great. But I don't understand the like, watching somebody do it is like watching rainfall and waiting for the rain to hit the penny you left out there. Like,
it is, but I'd say it's also, I mean, it's akin to watching unboxing videos. You're watching somebody else do a fun thing that you yourself are not really experiencing.
Yeah, I guess so. I could see it, and obviously there's popular. He's popular
watching
for doing it.
Somebody play video games really isn't a whole lot different. Obviously there's actual skill involved with the video games, but again, you're just still watching something rather than doing it yourself.
So why him and not some other guy? What makes him special?
Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, he's got this whole zone, so I played in his zone for a little while, his little area of the casino, and I guess they're building more of that out with that whole front entrance addition with pink box and carousel bar and stuff like that.
Right. And you said yesterday the steak place is staying, right? Oscars?
Yeah, Oscars is still staying. They're just redoing a little bit of the outside of that dome. Because the dome that sits out in front of Plaza, I mean, it's a landmark. It's kind of like the Bellagio fountains or the Eiffel Tower in front of Paris. It's something that makes the Plaza entrance unique, and so they're definitely keeping it. They're just going to put the carousel bar directly. It'll follow that same circle on the ground and be like a little bar. And I was looking at the concept photos. I don't think the bar itself, I don't think the seating area is going to spin, but I think it's possible that the area in the middle might spin. We'll have to see.
Nice. And do you think they ever get rid of the guy who's out there with this bowl of, it looks like kicks, but it's gold, the little gold digger guy that's like across the street from the plaza? Do you know the one I'm talking about? The big sign?
That's like way further down. That's above a gift shop. Yeah, that's like you're talking about the old timer miner guy with
I thought he was right across the street. I thought I could see him from my window last time. No,
if it's the guy I'm thinking of, he's way further down. But maybe there's something that you're seeing that I'm missing. I'm thinking of one thing, you're thinking of another. But like a big 3-dimensional sculpture of a dude.
Yeah, with
an
old
pan, miner dude squatting down with a
pan full of gold and like a bowl of kicks. I always notice it every time I'm there. I thought that was right across the street. Maybe it's further in.
Who knows? We'll have to see. We'll have to see when we go back down there.
Must be further in, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just the reason I ask is that thing is I like old timey Vegas stuff.
For sure.
That thing's an eyesore and was never cool ever.
Right. It was never. Yeah. Exactly. The whole that whole casino thing where they really tried to connect it to the gold rush and mining and getting gold that way versus just like Vegas Vic or is it Vicky? With the one that the sculpture that we're sitting on our coasters is Vicky. Vegas Vicky.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what the name of the cowboy dude who's like, hey,
the one doing this with his hat.
Here.
Is he doing a thing with his hat? I think he is. Or something.
His thumb. Yeah, I think
something
he's
like that.
Gesturing with his thumb. Anyway.
What's that guy's name?
I thought it was Vegas Vic, but I'm obviously thinking of Vegas Vicky.
Unless that would be a creative naming convention to give him Vic and Vicky, but I don't know. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop. Just guy downtown. Guy with a hat. I have no idea.
Cowboy of the Bebop.
Mr. Magoo, yes. I like that they typoed Mr. Magoo in the chat and it came up as Mr. Dot McGoo like it's a domain. I would buy Mr. Dot McGoo.
Visit Mr. Dot McGoo. I'd love, any domain with the ending Dot McGoo. Coverville Dot McGoo.
I got some stupid domains. Why not add that to the pile? That'd be great. Well, anyway, whatever that guy's name is.
That was it looks like it is Vegas. This says Vegas Vic.
Okay, so so they're playing off the name. That's fun.
Yeah, so Vegas Vicky and Vegas Vic. Also, I got to hang out for a little bit with Mitsula.
Yeah,
Mike
always
Rula.
a good time. Sure.
We went to a really good restaurant called 7th and Carson, and it basically is catty corner from the back of the container park. To give you an idea about where it is.
Sure. Is it which side of the giant flaming bug, robotic bug?
It's southwest of the big grasshopper or cricket or katydid that shoots fire. Yes, it's a praying mantis that shoots fire.
Praying mantis, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, but it's it's not even on that corner. Like when you're at the entrance of the container park, you don't see it. It's along the south west side of the container park. Catty corner from a place called Eat, if you're familiar with Eat, which is also a really good place for breakfast. Sadly, only going to be open Monday morning. Monday morning. They're only open Thursday through Monday. So the Tuesday and Wednesday morning you can't go there. But 7th and Carson, man, they had the full Irish breakfast, which I had. They had a breakfast pizza, which is what Mitsula had, but they also had the kimchi chicken and waffles with a kimchi syrup, maple kimchi syrup.
What the heck? That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You got look at this Irish breakfast. Holy Lord.
It was the full Irish. I mean, it was the horrible baked beans. I like baked beans, but for whatever, these were a little, maybe true Irish baked beans. They were really dry.
A little too authentic for
but it did come with black and white pudding. Traditional bacon, so like the back bacon like Zoe's familiar with, as opposed to the crispy strips that we're familiar with. Eggs, salad, sauteed mushrooms, tomatoes, toast for whatever reason.
I would eat it all. Everything you said, I would eat.
It was really, really good.
Oh man, the chicken waffles. So I'm looking at the chicken waffles. Spicy chicken tenders with kimchi waffle and gochujang.
Gochujang.
Yeah, is that how you say it?
Sauce? Yeah.
Syrup and pickles. Weird.
Yes, we saw a lot of people order it. It is clearly one of their popular entrees.
Isn't the deal is that you judge a breakfast place on its pancakes? How'd they do in that regard? Or did you not have them?
I don't know. Didn't do pancakes, but that is it's like for Chinese restaurants, I judge their sesame chicken. For breakfast places, I judge them by their pancakes. But I saw the full Irish, and I said, all right, that's what I've got to get.
Yeah, why not?
And the French toast, at Bacon Nation, we talked about a little bit yesterday. I want to go back and try more stuff at Bacon Nation. That French toast, I guess I did talk about it. It was good, but not great.
Just too sweet.
It was all too sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that. It seemed like it was. Just looking at it, looked like a freaking sugar bomb. That thing.
Yeah.
I noticed also. So Brian put up a picture here. Here it is, Chad, of him playing bingo. And
yes.
It reminds me, the color scheme's like Windows 95 or maybe Windows 3.1.
That round definitely was, right? That bright yellow, blue. Yeah, exactly.
Looking like
it was really just an excuse for me to do the photobomb face, because all of the other, that's one round where you only get one card for each packet you buy. So I obviously had 3 packets, I had 3 cards. The rest of the time you're looking at 6 cards or 12 cards, depending on what touch screen buttons you touch to see. But it still always sorts everything by which card is the closest to winning. Man, I had a couple one-aways, but it's actually just more fun people watching in that place, because there is here's the group of younger people who are like, oh yeah, we're gonna kind of make noise, and one person just screamed bingo when they got it, which I think caused 4 heart attacks among the other demographic that you see a lot there, which is the blue hairs that you think are probably there every day, all 5 sessions a day.
So there is something to the stereotype that old people like bingo, isn't there?
There absolutely is.
Yeah.
And those are the people that bring 5 different daubers, one for each color, so that they can color the sheet with the complementary color daubers and stuff like that. I do like the physical daubing a bingo card. But,
I like a dauber. A dauber's good.
Yeah. But this actually worked well because then for my 2 free drinks, I actually got 2 Bloody Marys, and I almost not really napped because obviously I still need to look at my cards to be able to yell bingo if I get it. But yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I go to Vegas. I always try and do something new. Try and do something I haven't done before. Go to a new restaurant. Try a new table game that I've never played before, and do that sort of thing. I'll probably never play bingo at the Plaza again, unless there's a big group of like, hey, we're all going to the 2:00 bingo. You want to go? But yeah, I did it, tried it, got the T-shirt, and done with it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can now speak to it, but you never have to do it again.
I can speak to it. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, speaking to things, we got an email from a listener from Savannah, Georgia. This is Corey.
Savannah, Georgia.
It's a question for you, or a comment toward you, I guess.
Okay.
It says, good morning, Scoot and Boot. I was listening to episode 2442 of TMS on March 27, 2023, and I had to say, I've never disagreed with Brian's opinion more.
Oh, gasp. No, you're obviously not trying hard enough.
Yeah, you got to try a little harder. The intro to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is probably the only time in my over 30 years on this earth that a 2-minute into a starting movie that I turned it off and walked away due to the cringe factor. Baby Groot felt like an executive watched the Minions movie, did a line of coke, and then told the marketing team, "We need to be like that!" Exclamation points. It immediately felt like the children's advertisement for all the merchandise and Funko Pops that would be sold ad nauseum in the coming years. It took me over a year to come back and force myself through that intro to watch the movie that I ended up really enjoying. Show the froyo, Corey. Well, Corey, interesting take.
Yeah.
Brian, it seems to be antithetical to your love of that scene.
Listen, I'd obviously disagree, but your opinions are one of the few things that we can own in this world, and so absolutely, you're absolutely entitled to yours, and it's one of those things where I say, all right, more for me.
Yeah.
If you're not going to finish that, I'll finish it for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, my love for Electric Light Orchestra obviously helps a lot. But I'm not going to tell Corey like, you're wrong. You're totally wrong.
Well, that brings up a good point. If that was like some modern country hit, would you have been less inclined to enjoy the scene?
Probably would have been less inclined to enjoy it.
No.
I feel like that's the one thing that obviously the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff established really early is this great soundtrack that the other MCU movies didn't have, and obviously centering everything in the 70s and 80s. If Star-Lord had gotten a Merle Haggard truck stop cassette from his mom instead of an awesome mix that he got, the awesome mix I have right here in the Ark of the Covenant right behind me.
Yeah, look at that. Don't look at it, Marion.
This awesome mix right here.
Yeah.
The Star-Lord got.
That's pretty awesome.
If he would have liked that, would I have enjoyed the movies as much? Probably not. I feel like that that soundtrack resonated with me because that's all the music I listened to growing up as well. So
yeah, I think he's James Gunn's got his finger on that pulse. He knows what we like,
I'm absolutely gonna miss his input into the MCU. I know we do still get Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and now we have the new Groot, which is a buff
teenager Groot. Yeah.
Buff teenager Groot. Yeah.
Does he regen like that in the comics all the time, or is this just a movie thing?
Don't know. I've never read a series that had Groot. So that's
I don't think I have either. Now that I think about it, I've read some Guardians stuff, but it was like crossover stuff, and Groot wasn't there.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was.
Early Guardians, right? It was like the old.
Yeah, old school.
The old Guardians.
The goofy,
anyway, so
goofy ass.
So
dudes.
Corey, you know what? You're absolutely entitled to your opinion on that, and I'm sure you're not the only one who feels like it. Baby Groot was kind of a cash grab in like the way that the Ewoks and Minions, and I mean you can point to lots of franchises that try to do a.
I wonder how he feels. How do you feel about the Mandalorian, Corey? Does Grogu drive you crazy, or do you like it?
Right.
In that context.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good question.
Yeah. Because it may be the same problem for him, Sitting there watching a little goofy baby alien.
Might be. Yeah.
I don't know.
This is just their way of selling little Funko Grogu pops. Because I'll bet you they sold a lot more Grogu than they did Groot over the last.
Oh, hell yeah. They sold a lot of
years.
Grogu. Although there's a pretty good bobblehead version of Groot. I think I have him. Yeah, down there somewhere. I have one of the few Pop Toys I retained because I liked their design was the Groot one because his head moves.
He fits as a pop toy. Groot is a very, his Funko Pop dead eyes style works perfectly for a Funko Pop.
Yeah, does the job. It gets it done, as the kids say. All right, look at this, you guys.
One of the things that I enjoy also is reading.
It's time for Read This with our old pal Amy Robinson. Hi, Amy. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, hello.
We're going to see you in not even a month from now.
I know.
Hardly a month, barely 3.5 weeks or something. Jeez, that's insane.
I guess it'll be 4 weeks because it's 4 weeks from this last Sunday. So
it's fast, and we'll see Chuck. It'll be fun to see Chuck there. Yeah,
fun to see Chuck. I'll tease him about his testicles. It'll be great. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, it'll be good.
It's all gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can't wait. Well, it's good to have you back, Amy. Of course, our reading expert. She likes to read, and she likes to share her reading selections with you at home on Thursdays for a regular segment called Read This. So let's do that today, Amy. What did you bring?
I do indeed like doing that. So I promise everybody I will get back on a fictional, escapey kind of kick in a minute. But I have been, Real Steps is going on right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of in the therapy, kind of nonfiction-y mode. Mm-hmm. And so I came across this book. I actually bought it for my niece for Christmas because it was, I felt like it would resonate with her really, really well. And so, we can play the clip, and I will just say that it's not all about, the whole book is not all about cleaning your house.
All right. Okay. That's an interesting hint. Here we go.
My professional experience as a therapist had shown me time and time again that being overwhelmed is not a personal failure. But as most of you know, the gulf between what we know in our minds and what we feel in our hearts is often an insurmountable distance. In that moment, I couldn't help but absorb that lie that my inability to keep a clean home was direct evidence of my deep character failing of laziness. In reality, this could not be further from the truth. Even tasks that appeared to be secondhand thoughts to most people, brushing your teeth, washing your hair, changing your clothes, can become almost impossible in the face of functional barriers. In my work as a therapist, I have seen hundreds of clients who struggle with these issues, and I am convinced now, more than ever, of one simple truth. They are not lazy. Main point. I do not think laziness exists. You know what does exist? Executive dysfunction, procrastination, feeling overwhelmed, perfectionism, trauma, amotivation, chronic pain, energy fatigue, depression, lack of skills, lack of support, and differing priorities. ADHD, autism, depression, traumatic brain injury, and bipolar and anxiety disorders are just some of the conditions that affect executive function, making planning, time management, working memory, and organization more difficult, and tasks with multiple steps intimidating or boring. There's an old saying that neurons that fire together wire together. It simply means that your brain can start associating feelings with certain experiences. This means that if a person was in an abusive situation, either as a child or in a domestic partnership where cleaning or mess was used as a punishment or was the subject of abuse, then that person is going to have post-traumatic stress around housekeeping, and they may avoid it because it triggers their nervous system. When barriers to functioning make completing care tasks difficult, a person can experience an immense amount of shame.
I wish I had that kind of shame about my. I wish I had a good excuse for why my office is a freaking sty right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, okay, so you don't need an excuse, but that is the name of the book. Before Christine Fletcher comes for me, is How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis. She is one of my favorite TikTokers, and she has written a book about essentially how to make your home functional. It's not about how to make it clean and tidy and look like Instagram worthy. It's about how to make it function for you. And I feel like the more I listen to her and the more I dig into this book, that whole neurons that fire together, wire together ought to sound familiar because Wendi has said it about 800 times.
Yeah, I've heard her say it on the show before. Is this where she got it? Did she coin it or get it from this lady?
Oh no. I mean, it's a very common like psychology phrase. So I think they learn it in Psychology 101. Yeah. So it's really about, hey, you are not a bad person for having a mess in your house, right? Like, and I know that sounds ridiculous for me to say, but if you think about your internal way that you talk to yourself, we shame ourselves all the time for, oh my God, this place, like you just did.
Yeah, I'm doing
Scott,
it now.
Like, like, oh my God. Yeah. I wish I had an excuse for why my office is a mess.
I had some lasagna last night and I left my bowl down here. Look at this. Look at this. Some crusty leftover lasagna in my thing. And it's just sitting right here. How gross.
Just going to have to throw that thing away. It's not salvageable.
No, what am I going to do? Soak this in acid for a month? Forget it. I'm just going to toss it. I'm gonna break it.
So Barkeep's friend will take care of that for you. But the crux of that is it doesn't make you a bad person, right? It's not clean does not equal good, just like messy does not equal bad. It is, there are a number of things, and the phrase that I have taken from Casey Davis that I have found so helpful is that these things are morally neutral. You haven't what's the word I'm looking for? Violated your value system by leaving your socks on the floor or by having a bowl on your desk. I mean, Scott, I have a bowl on my desk all the time. The only reason that I don't right now is because I'm in the process of actually reorganizing my office, which if you follow me on TikTok, you will have seen all of that. Shoujo is following me a whole bunch and cheering me on, which is awesome. But yeah, it's like a whole ongoing multi-day saga. But and typically Chuck will occasionally come by and be like, hey, I'm going downstairs. Got any dishes for me to grab? And we do that for each other. But it's not the worst thing in the world. Do you have cockroaches in it?
No,
then it's okay.
I don't have mice. I don't have any of that.
Your health is not an issue. Then it's fine. It's fine. Quit shaming yourself about it. Yeah.
And I mean, so just the crux of that is, hey, if you can only do a little bit, then just do a little bit, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's your house functions and serves you. You don't serve your house. And it's there to provide shelter and a place to be and safety and whatnot. It's not you don't have to serve your house.
Yeah.
So whatever you can do is okay. And on other days where you're like, yeah, I'm kicking ass today, then that's great too,
Sure.
But nobody would ever say, we get on social media and whatnot and we brag on ourselves, but nobody would ever say, I'm so much better than you because I did more than you today. Right. So why do we do that to ourselves?
Sure. There are some people who would do that, but I don't want to be around them anyway,
Exactly. And, this like gym bros who, go on people in larger bodies videos and be like, oh my God, you're so fat, you're disgusting. That's not a person you want to be around anyhow.
No, F that guy.
F that guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that guy clearly has issues he hasn't worked out as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyway, as I say, the book is not only about it, just I think the vehicle for a lot of the good messaging in the book is keeping house, but it applies to just about anything. Like right now, and y'all both know this because y'all are both self-employed, so you do the small business thing. I cannot make myself do our taxes. I need to do our taxes, and I just can't. I have this block about doing it. So actually, one thing that I have discovered that helps me is kind of having company, and a lot of people with ADHD call it body doubling. And you can kind of get more done if the other person that's there with you doesn't even have to be doing anything. They can just be sitting there. But you get more stuff done that way. I found that a lot when I would fold laundry or do dishes or whatever if I was on the phone with my mom. And like, I don't know why, but it just helped. And it was like, all of a sudden, hey.
Would you end up though missing something she said because you're going, oh really, oh wow, you'd be basically like, well, no, how did that? But did you hear what I just said about your father? Or the neighbor's like, oh yeah, maybe you better tell me again just to be safe.
Yeah.
Not that I know of, because honestly, the way it sort of works is I have ADHD brain bad, and some days are worse than others, particularly if I haven't had enough sleep. Like yesterday, I had a Charlie horse that woke me up at 4:30 in the morning. Oh my God, it hurt so bad. I actually called out. I woke Chuck up and I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up. It just hurt.
No.
And
I did this exact same thing scenario to Kim the other night, and there was no getting around it. It was so bad. I was gonna make noise, so you're going to wake up, and you may as well help me stretch my stupid calf, because otherwise I'm going to die here. I hate that.
Oh my gosh, they are so bad. I took a muscle relaxer last night because I was like, I'm not repeating that. Yeah. But yesterday, all day, man, my brain was somewhere else. I would walk into a room and be like, what was I doing? It's a good thing I wasn't on the show yesterday, because I'd have been like, what was I gonna? I don't.
Who am I? Where am I?
Say.
Yeah.
There's a book or something. Yeah. So excuse me, and I just did it now. But no, Brian, because the way that my particular flavor of neurodivergence works is it's like, I call it monkey brain. And so I keep my monkey brain busy by folding the clothes. And that actually makes it easier for me to focus on what my mom's saying.
Makes sense, because it's it's not something you really have to focus on. So it's a lot easier to do that mindlessly while you pay attention to what your mom's saying.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it's something that keeps my monkey brain busy so that my main brain can focus on doing something else. And it's like, because, man, things like dishes and laundry and whatnot, those things are boring. I don't want to do them. And so, if I have something else that my main brain can focus on and not be like, boring thing. So today, the real steppers, I have organized a little thing that we're calling Let's Do the Thing. And so we're just going to get together on Discord, and we're going to all get together and say the thing we're going to do. And then we're going to spend 30 minutes and just set timers and go do it. Just go do stuff. What is something we've been procrastinating or whatever, and just go do it. And then at the very end, we come back for 15 minutes and we say what we did, and then we say a thing we get to do that day.
I like that a lot. That's a great idea. Yeah. See, this is why I have an accountant for, talking about taxes earlier, and I have an accountant who does everything for us, except for we got to gather crap up, right? We have to get things ready.
Same. That's me too. That's why I cannot understand why I can't make myself do this. All I have to do is gather all the crap and send it to the guy.
What helps me,
I can't make myself do it.
What helps us is he not hounds us, but he makes us feel very deadliney about it. Mm-hmm. And that helps, because now I've got somebody who's on the hook for it. It's like, oh, well, I can't make Mark wait for these. I have to hurry and get all this stuff to him. I think that's a big motivator for me. If it's just me, I'm terrible at it. It's like,
No, we have an accountant that is very much texting me right now. Okay, well, I got all these things. Have you finished that spreadsheet, Brian? I'm like, no, I'm still working on it. It's like basically, every Coverville related film sack morning stream, every purchase, and I buy a lot of music for all of the shows, soundography, like basically individual tracks that we need, whatever. And it's so much like getting spreadsheets from 5 different sources and then adding a category field and figuring out, all right, what was that for? Oh yeah, that's show content, or this one is professional services, or this one is travel and entertainment, and all that stuff.
Yeah. I just wish there was a way to I wish we had flat rate taxes. That's what I wish we had. I know it's never going to happen,
right.
but it'd be cool if we're all paying 20 to 30%, whatever our rate is. I don't even know what the averages are. Just do a flat one. I know that doesn't work for billionaires, and they're all going to be pissed when I say this, but just go bonk, like everybody bonk. You have your 30%. Bam, you paid it. You're done. We're off to the races. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. That would make things so much easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the stuff in this book doesn't necessarily have to apply to housework and things like that, but it can be it can be really helpful for, hey, if you can't, if this task feels daunting, this whole project feels like it's just too much, then just do a little bit. And then if you feel great and want to keep going, awesome. If you don't, that's okay. You did a little bit, and that's it. That's all good.
Okay, well, listen to this. I found the origin of Charlie Horse. Would you like to hear where this came from?
I would.
Okay,
I would indeed.
Check this out.
Sure.
Base ballasts. Okay, so this is July 1886 issue of the West Virginia newspaper called the Wheeling Daily Intelligencer. Okay. They were using that Intelligencer stupid name all the way back in the 1800s. Anyway.
Yeah.
Base ballasts have invented a brand new disease called Charlie Horse. It consists of, and this is taken right out of the issue of the paper, consists of a peculiar contraction and hardening of the muscles and tendons of the thigh, although I usually get them in the calf, to which ball players are liable from the sudden starting and stopping in chasing balls. Jack Glasscock is said to have originated the name because the way men limped around, reminding him of an old horse he once owned named Charlie. There's your origin. The guy had a horse named Charlie. He limped around like a weird old horse. That looks like these guys with their pulled muscles. Boom, you got your name.
Call it a Charlie horse.
Yep.
That's awesome. By the way, my old GP was Dr. David Glasscock.
Yep. Old Glasscock.
It was so fun going to see the doctor and saying, all right, well, I need to go get a physical from Dr. Glasscock.
I feel bad for people with like unfortunate names sometimes. So I went to school with a guy whose last name was Butts.
Yeah, just like straight up Butts.
Another guy whose last name was Dix.
Yeah.
And
did they hang out? So... Did those two ever come out hang out together?
Gonna be my exact same question, so I'm glad you asked it.
Yeah.
They did.
Good.
Yeah.
So Dix and Butts out on the town on a Friday. Fantastic. I love it.
Yes. But anyway, so don't, shame never, I'm going to Brene Brown for a second here, but shame never helped anybody get anything done. It just makes you feel worse, about yourself. And especially if you suffer with depression or anything like that, that shame is just going to make that worse and make it less possible for you to get anything done.
For a hot second, I thought you said Shane. Shane never did anything for anyone.
Shane never did anything for anybody.
Maddox.
Yeah, so Shane Maddox. He's out. Oh, he just barely submitted a title, funny enough. But
Shane on you. Shane on you, Shane.
Shane.
Right.
Shane.
Shane, who has a surprisingly lovely singing voice. Who
what? I need to.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I know he's coming. If he's coming to Vegas, I need to hear this lovely singing voice.
I believe we've played his stuff on the show before.
Have we?
Yeah.
I need to hear it again.
From his band. Yeah.
I didn't know that was him. Here's what I think of when I think of Shane. Stand in one place, hold your camera way out here, and then slowly rotate until you've done a full 360 of the entire room. That's what I picture when I think of Shane. Well, anyway, Shane, it's not your fault. Well, all right then. This sounds like great. Tell people the book one more time, and
The book is called How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis, and she is Domestic Blisters on TikTok.
Domestic Blisters. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, get in there while TikTok stays.
Get that book and put some salve on it.
Right.
That obviously is up on the site at quicktms.li right now.
It's a really short book. Also, that's and I find with a lot of like self-help books and like that book. What was it called? It wasn't called Just Do It. It was like Getting Things Done.
Getting Things Done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I have that book.
I was like, great. The first chapter ought to be finding time to read this damn book.
Yeah. Like it's a very good book. It's a really good book. I read it front to back. But the one thing it misses, or the one thing it just assumes, is you're coming to it with the motivation to start with. Right?
Right.
So if you've got the motivation, it's a brilliant way to get things done. Like it's a great system. People have copied it. Tons of software builds their entire software systems around the concepts and getting things done. But the one piece it misses is this little bit right before it, where you got to like be motivated enough, whatever the motivation needs to be to get going. And that's the tricky bit. So I guess that's why Real Steps exists. So there you have it.
Yeah, and the Casey Davis book addresses that piece and the motivation piece.
Nice.
So yeah,
nice.
It's really good.
All right, go check it out. It is Red Fraggle 3 everywhere you want to find her, including that old TikTok thing until they pull it down. Although I don't know, I got a theory on this. This Restrict Act that we're proposing, that would be the one that would take it out, is so broad with its powers that there's no way this passes. It can't pass. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
It's really bad. It's not just I thought, they'll just make a very narrow thing that's just attacking the TikTok China thing, and that's it. That's what this will be for. No. They have put a ton of language in there that basically broadens it. It feels like Patriot Act 2.0. It's like real gnarly.
Yeah. It's very 1984-ish kind of shit. It's bad.
Go read it. It's bullshit. You don't want it. Anyway, so I'm kind of hoping it's so extreme that they won't pass. And I don't think they have a majority, so they won't anyway. But anyway, good luck on that. And Amy, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye
see
now.
Ya.
Bye now.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got? We got time for a little bit of news. Let's do that. Yes, that's right. It's time for the news, and it's brought to you by
Core Podcast live tonight, 5 p.m. Video games. Be there. Listen. It's yours for the taking.
That's right. It's very good.
Just how Scott wrote it.
Yeah, it's perfect dramatic reading. It's exactly what I intended. Core will be tonight. It'll be at 5 p.m. And that's Mountain Time. And everybody should come watch us live or check it out later. But we love doing Core, and it's that time of the week. So come check it out. That's tonight.
Cool.
Miami Man in the news. Miami Man.
Yeah.
What's his power? We haven't done that in a while. What's his power?
We have not done that in a while. Miami Man, his power is to boy, I'm out of practice with these damn powers here.
It's been a bit.
Able to get such a dark tan, he looks like a raisin and will smell like one too. Excelsior!
The sweet smell of dried fruit.
Yes.
Speaking of which,
silly question.
No, that's not him. Where is
I'm going to win.
No.
That's a silly question, isn't it?
No. Oh, I don't have it. I thought I had the Excelsior.
That's a stupid question or whatever he says. What does he say?
Oh, silly person is what it is.
Oh, silly person. That's
Let's
right.
see. And this is when he was talking to Veronica.
Yes.
Hold on. Now that I've mentioned it, I have to do it. Oh, I don't have it.
Legally obligated.
All right. This is one of those on a weird hard drive I haven't moved over yet, so wish me luck. I'll find it. A Miami Man was injured by a falling iguana during an outdoor yoga class. Yeah.
We talked about the iguanas when stuff was cold out there. They would freeze in the trees and then drop on people, right?
Yeah, they would get too cold for them. When you just have any kind of cold snap in Florida, and these iguanas just fall out of the tree.
Yeah, like freeze.
Like old fruit.
Fall out of trees.
Well, the class proceeded as usual for 47 minutes. They were doing breathing exercises, upward and downward dog.
Oh, I don't know what the upward dog is.
I know, right? I don't either. I've never heard of it. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I've done downward dog before. Anyway.
Yeah.
Warrior, I've heard of that. Triangle, I don't know what that is. And seated stretching poses, sure. Okay.
Sure.
They concluded the instructing yogis to roll on their backs, lift their hips, and begin to look inward. All right. It was then that a series of noises, tree branches rustling, a loud thud, a cacophony of gasps, all of this ensued. It's very dramatic.
No kidding. This is like written by Steinbeck or something.
Yeah,
wow.
No kidding. This is what the yogi says. Guys, I think we're going to have to close the class. His name is Sanchez.
Okay.
Said in this Instagram live video as it got recorded. I'm going to take care of someone who just got an iguana dropped on his face.
Oh.
Yeah. That someone would be Michael, who agreed to speak to the New York Times, or the New Times, rather. There's no New York Times involved here. The New Times.
The Miami New Times, which is fake paper.
Oh, it doesn't...
It's not the Herald. I mean, it's probably just an online thing. But,
gotcha. Okay.
The Herald is the Miami actual newspaper.
So MiamiNewTimes.com.
Probably just an online newspaper thing. All these are cropping up.
Some smaller one. Who knows?
Yeah.
It says on the quite understandable condition.
Miami Intelligencer.
I hate that name so much.
Yeah, I think the Seattle Times and Post-Intelligencer still exist, or is it just Seattle Times now? Somebody from Seattle can answer that one. But
if I lived there, I would stop with Times and never put Intelligencer in my mouth. I hate that word.
Yeah, exactly.
It sucks. This guy says, I didn't see it coming. It felt like a sandbag hit me in the face. First thing that went through my head was I must have been a coconut, but there were no coconut trees. And then I thought maybe the guy next to me slugged me. But I mean, we're in a yoga class and it's so calm and peaceful. Why would that guy hit me, unquote?
Yeah, why? The first thing that went through his head was the iguana. The second thing that went through his head is that it must have been a coconut.
That's right. Oh, man. I saw something. Oh, I can't even talk about it. I saw a death in a movie yesterday that was so gross.
Oh, God.
Well, I've talked about it before. Have I talked about Bone Tomahawk? I think I've talked about it.
Yes, you've mentioned it before, yeah.
It's a 2015 movie. What's his name? I can't think of his name all of a sudden. No one's names are working for me today.
You and me both.
Guardians 2 dad.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt freaking Russell. We just watched him on FilmZack. Anyway.
Ego.
He's an old sheriff. It's a Western, but it's also a horror movie. And it's got an amazing cast. And if you've all seen that movie, it's 2015, you guys. This isn't new. If you've seen that movie, Bone Tomahawk, then you know about the death scene I'm talking about. And for some reason, this iguana landing on this dude's head reminded me of that, but I don't know why. But man.
I was just trying to come up with a wall of voodoo. Wish I was in Tijuana, getting hit in the face with an iguana. Something like that. It's something somewhere along the line. There is a song there.
There's a cover in there. There's a Weird Al moment.
A parody. There's a parody in there.
Yeah, I can hear Dr. Demento getting ready to play that record. You know, that's how I know it's in there.
Should there be a policy? I hope not. But should there be a policy on when I do my film sack intros? Am I allowed to do my own parody of a song that Weird Al Yankovic himself parodied?
I think so.
Prior.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's any rules against that. No,
because I'm thinking about one for this week. Again, haven't even watched Cobra yet, but I think I've already got a thought in mind for a song parody intro.
I'm trying to think of a song with lyrics that have Cobra rhyming.
Guess it, but it's A. I don't think you'll get it. B. I'm not going to tell if you're right.
Yeah, you're not going to say whether I got it right. You want to save it.
Exactly. Yes.
Cobra. What rhymes with Cobra?
It might not even be Cobra. Might not even be in the chorus. Yeah. I might be talking about Stallone or.
That's true. It could have nothing to do with it. That's right.
Cutting pizza with garden shears. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's so many directions I could go with that.
It's endless, really. Your list, your choices. You could go anywhere you want.
Exactly.
Speaking of going somewhere, we're going to take a break. When we come back, my sister Wendi will be here, an actual practicing therapist. She's got a very interesting email to tackle today. So that will be what we do after this break. This break involves a musical selection. Brian, what do you have today?
About a week ago, the band Heartworms released their debut EP called A Comforting Notion. Perfect for Therapy Thursday. Big thanks to Speedy Wonderground and PIAS Marketing for sending me this one. This is the brand new song from South London Heartworms. It's really just one person. It's a she, and her name is. Do I have that in here? Nope. She just goes by Heartworms. She does not want anybody tracking her down and finding her. So she's Heartworms.
Sure.
From the brand new EP, A Comforting Notion. Here is 24 Hours.
Next, you'll be telling me you don't like strangers around here.
Pinching is not allowed. Not around me.
Here's your meatball. This is the morning stream.
And we're back. Tell me more about that song.
Yeah, that song is called 24 Hours, and it is by Heartworms from her brand new EP, A Comforting Notion.
They have medicine for that, for heartworms, I think. Don't they?
and it provides you a comforting notion. Yeah,
that's true. Can people get heartworms, or is that just a dog thing? I wonder.
I think just dogs, but I don't know. I don't know if people can get them. You never hear about somebody getting heartworms, so I think it's got to just be a dog thing.
Or maybe we're just, I don't know, you'd have to go back to
our hearts are impervious to worms.
Oh, look at this. There's the American...
Worms, Roxanne, worms!
The American Heartworm Association.
Oh.
Says it is all pets. So
okay.
I think we're correct that people do not get heartworms.
Good.
Maybe they can if they live bad. Like if you're living in a dumpster, I don't know.
Like, we're just too... we're just licking ourselves to clean ourselves short of getting our own heartworms. Basically.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. Yeah. I'm all in on our dystopic future. Speaking of futures, let's talk to Wendi and see if we can improve our futures. Here's her thingy.
Wendi.
I mean, random.
Not a chance.
Ooh, look who it is. It's my sister Wendi. Hi, Wendi.
Hey. How are you guys?
What's going on? When you're here, you're family. That's true, isn't it?
Wait, what?
It's like Olive Garden. You've been there.
Oh, when you're here, you're family.
Yeah.
Technically, you are family when you're here.
Yeah.
I know.
As wherever you are, you are family.
We're still family.
You're family no matter what. But that's not the issue today. Today is a very different kind of thing. We're going to read an email. We're going to get somebody some help for their big question. Feel like this one might be interesting for everyone, especially, I don't know, I feel like us in general, because I don't think Brian and I know anything about this subject. I don't think this is a thing.
No, definitely don't. But I do want to say before we even get into that I have been repeating my handwritten.
Oh yeah, we got to follow up. How did it go?
Oh, your mantra. Yeah, me too.
It's been going very well. I have it basically sitting right here in front of my monitor, and I don't do procrastination. I tackle the most urgent items first.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me this: when the rubber hits the road, and there's a chance to procrastinate this last week, what happened?
9 times out of 10, I won't say that I completely stopped procrastinating, because I did have some fun stuff I wanted to do, but 9 times out of 10 it did work, and I did just say, all right, well, what's it made me actually think about what was the most important thing, because I found that one of my problems was I would intentionally not prioritize in my head what was most important, so that I could easily excuse doing the fun thing first.
Right. So. Because fun should be a priority as well. It just maybe is in a different order. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be all fun. I can't live on just icing. I need some cake.
You need some actual cake. Nice. That's awesome. How about you, Scott?
I don't worry about things out of my control, I wrote. And I was better at that. I had better sleep this week.
Nice.
And I think part of that was me. Like, I'd go to bed with all the things I got to do tomorrow, all the existential worries I always carry with me, all that stuff, and I started to go, you can't control any of that. So just go to sleep. All you can control now is your sleep. Let's do that. And that weirdly helped. And I didn't have any weird dreams, which is too bad for the show, because those are always fun to talk about. But I had no weird dreams. Like, it was just kind of a better week of sleep. Having this around and reading it. So, so
also,
success.
Can we just all geek out about that for a second? That writing something down and reading it a couple times changed your sleep?
Yeah, no. Well, it makes sense, right?
So cool.
There's something else I can write down to help my sleep, because this didn't help my sleep at all.
But it's an important point, though. Less. It's an important point to think about. Like, what makes us have bad sleep? It's us reading a couple of things too often, or thinking about a thing too often. And then we're having bad sleep as a result. So it's not, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that flipping the lid and doing this positive mantra, or thinking about it more, is having the same effect, but in a positive way. It makes perfect sense to me. I'm just bad at it. I'm just bad at normally doing it.
Logical. It's not like it was some magic trick. It is in the sense of like bringing something further up in your awareness. That's pretty hard to do when your attention's being drawn all over the place, right? So that's a little magic, but it just is framing a thing differently, and your brain will respond if you frame it that way. Like it can be malleable, and that's actually exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Teaching old dogs new tricks, you might say.
Right.
All right. Well, let's teach a couple of old dogs some new tricks here with today's anonymous email. I'll just read what we got here. Greetings. Last week, you and your wonderful sister. Oh, that's very nice of them to say that, isn't it?
That's so nice. Way to butter me up.
Yeah.
Before I break it down.
Says you and your wonderful sister asked for mushroom questions. I'm eager to learn more. My sister's new wife recently divulged to me that she is microdosing. That's the term you always hear. This concerned me because, as I understand it, all hallucinations are severely harmful to the brain, and self-medication without prescription can be dangerous. I'm not
all hallucinations? You want to say that differently?
Didn't I? What did I say?
All hallucinogens.
Oh, hallucinogens. That is a very different word. All hallucinogens are severely harmful to the brain, and self-medication without prescription can be dangerous. I'm not looking to judge her decisions, but she is now family, and I'm concerned that her microdosing practices could rub off on my sister, whom I love so dearly. What are the dangers of microdosing? How would Wendi recommend I approach my sister with my concerns without coming off as a drug narc? Regards, Anonymous. I love that. Yeah. A drug narc.
All right.
Yeah.
Drug narc. Okay. I have 2 questions that I would love answered. What does this person do for a living? What is their background?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. And their own.
They're hating the competition.
Yeah.
And also just like, what is, I'll save my second question. Okay. That would just be an interesting side note. So people, when you send an email, just be like, I work with IT or whatever, just because it gives me like, I don't know. That's sometimes a helpful thing.
And age probably helps too, right? You want age. Bit. Yeah.
Right. Because if this is somebody, I mean, my sense of like, okay, my sister's new wife, this could be any age, but like I'm probably not 90-year-olds.
Right. Upper 20s, lower 30s.
Yeah, it could be somewhere in the middle, the TV range. That's what we call it, where you look like you could be on TV. And
is that a thing? I hadn't heard that before.
It's like between 18 and 39.
Okay.
That's the TV range.
That's when you're presentable for television, I see.
Yeah, your collagen still works, and then after that, we don't want to see you. Yeah, okay. So here's the thing with this. So let's just start with some basic understanding that is a misunderstanding.
Okay.
Hallucinogens do not severely harm the brain. That is fundamentally not true.
All right.
Now, because that's a big blanket statement. So what I'm interested in is where do they get to that assessment, right? So when I'm working with anyone and they come in and they have this idea about something, often when it comes to things that, really out of their purview, that's why, like, if he's a car mechanic and he's like, my sister's, doing this thing and it's terrible, and just not daily working with the brain and having not a lot of information, you're going to just go with whatever experiences you've had or kind of the vibe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a weird way of putting it, but like, actually, let's talk about the vibe a little bit with psychedelics historically. Okay. So I'm going to use a couple different words. Hallucinogens, that's, I think what they're referencing here is psychedelics as a class of drugs, which are found usually in natural sources. You can, LSD is was synthetic, but most of these are found in plants and mushrooms and different sources, and a lot of indigenous and First Peoples have a lot of deep knowledge about these substances because they've used them for various rituals, and historically that's where most of this stuff was. Well, it gets discovered, and like all good things, white people take it and break it. And there was a lot of cool initial research going on in the 50s and 60s with some of these substances, and in the mental health realm of just like, this does this to the brain. It's pretty fascinating. We did not have, you got to remember, like, just a baby ultrasound like came out in 1975 or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact date, and it was, you couldn't see a thing. Let's all be honest. So we're talking, we don't have the imaging ability, any of that to really know. And they're just kind of looking through, figuring stuff out. Well, it's also apparently a lot of fun to hallucinate. So there's lots of counterculture stuff that gets wrapped up in it, and then it's used all over the place in recreational ways and gets a bad rap. And then in 1970, it is basically the U.S. government bans it as an illicit substance that, is illegal, right? Sure. So that put a sudden stop to any kind of research that could be done on these kinds of things. And then in recent years, there's been a resurgence because some of these substances have been legalized in various ways for research purposes. And then Colorado, by the way, and Oregon are the only two states where like psilocybin is legal. Oregon has made a law about this, which is a really smart one, which is it's legal for recreational use with a couple factors in place, because there are some risk factors, which I'll get into what the risk factors are. But, there is a big shift in the zeitgeist around this, right? Maybe you guys have noticed this. Like, it's been really sudden in the last couple years. And some of the research that's come out has verified, some of its therapeutic use. Yeah. And so clinics have popped up to do that work. In my industry, I've already had 2 or 3 trainings where the best in my field are talking about this and how does this affect trauma work and how do we make sure this is, does no harm, but really does the good that we think it might do. So it's definitely all over the place.
Yeah.
But that usually means when it is in the very public sphere, it has been in a less public sphere for a hot minute before then. And so I forget, there's a term for it in San Francisco. It's like the secret, whatever, because it really starts there, the underground.
No, I know this.
There's a word. Anyway,
crap.
I'm not gonna remember.
Okay, I won't either. I'll think.
But essentially, it's like a little secret hub of where a lot of this experimenting and early therapeutic sort of intervention using these things started. So, it's just becoming more mainstream and being studied. So Johns Hopkins University has done a lot of work in the last 5 years. Let's see, 2017, whatever the heck that is, 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. Lots of cool studies, lots of double blind. We're getting into the real meat of research and then how this can help other people. So let's just do this. Let's break it down real quick into what is helpful about it and then what is not. And we're going to start with this big umbrella is that we don't know everything, right? I think sometimes as a consumer or a sort of a person watching this, like your doctor's like, okay, don't take so much vitamin C. And then later they're like, you got to up your vitamin C. Right, and so your own experience is a little, frustrating. You want black and white answers. You want the expert to be the expert. But we are talking about the brain, people. And the brain, unlike any other part of us, it's a lot harder to know definitively certain things or to control certain things. But we know some really good stuff about it.
Even person to person, right? Like, what works for somebody might not work for anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get to the fundamentals of what these types of substances do. And anyone who's probably done Molly at a party can tell you that their brain suddenly is not like your brain.
No, wait, is Molly is mushrooms? Is that a thing? I didn't know that.
No, Molly's like MDMA. And MDMA is being studied for some really cool mental health benefits differently. So everything kind of has a different thing. Psilocybin is in mushrooms. That's the magic mushroom realm.
Yeah.
MDMA is this other one. DAT is another one. Anyway, there's a few stuff that's in ayahuasca. You guys know that, like the Peruvian drink where you hallucinate. Sure. So what they're doing is they're actually looking at all these things. They're studying them in mice, of course, which was where you always got to start, and finding out different things. And then they are now doing double-blind studies with adults. And what we're finding, and I'll get to microdosing in a second, but what happens is the brain gets these chemicals. Think of it as snow globe. You have a snow globe, everything's settled. Your neural networking is kind of what it is. You flip the snow globe over and then things can fall in different places. It's like that's what it can offer the brain. It will grow new dendrites. It will make new connections. It will, kind of the stuff that was stuck isn't stuck. And so for example, ketamine is another example. And ketamine has been used by, I'm not sure ethically, by police officers to calm suspects down sometimes. It's administered without, consent, which is a problem. Anyway, we're not going to get into that, but that has been used for a while. It is legal. It is legal to use in treatment depression or treatment-resistant depression, and to some great effect for a lot of people. So I personally have multiple clients that have done this and have had really helpful when nothing else has worked, right? So what it does is creates more plasticity in the brain. And plasticity is a thing we've known about for a long time. We haven't quite known how to create it. We know the most plastic the brain is, or the most malleable, the most wiring and rewiring it is at a very young age. So 1 to 4 is the most plastic our brains are. So imagine, you teach a 4-year-old to ski, or you teach a 50-year-old to ski, like really different abilities, because those networks can be built very quickly. Learning a language, whatever it is, right? It just goes really fast because it's so plastic or malleable, right?
Malleable. Yeah. Right.
So the sciencey word is plastic. And so I just know that's what I'm talking about when I say that, because it feels like a weird word, right?
Yeah.
Your brain is not actually made of.
Still forming, still able
moving,
to get input and deal with input a lot easier.
Yeah. And that's why all the things you learn as you age, it gets a little harder, more effort to do those things, because it's just not as malleable. So what this does is create some malleability again, which can have really great effect, and it can also have risks. So let's just talk about the good things about it. When done with a trained provider and a setting in which you're safe and it's managed. So for example, let's imagine you give you a psychedelic and then I push you out in traffic. That is not a great setting, right?
Right. No.
Or you're just doing it for fun with a friend, and your brain suddenly gets all loose and open, and then you remember some unresolved trauma from a younger age. You can actually give yourself PTSD, and that's one of the risks here of just doing it on your own. You can give yourself PTSD from that experience.
Right.
And your brain is so open. It's just, think of it as like a very vulnerable state, and then you just stamp some trauma right in there.
In the past, they'd call it like a bad trip, right? That's
Yeah. Yeah. But you could also have, I'm just recovered some very, something I've been suppressing.
Yeah.
And I'm just with my buddies here on a couch, and I realize I was abused, half my childhood, and I have no one here to help me. I don't know how to integrate this, So there's
the was a baby, basically.
Yeah.
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 That is the risk of of not having help as you work through these things. So I'm talking about kind of bigger trips situation. And what they're finding is this makes huge strides for people with treatment-resistant depression when nothing else has worked. I mean, we're looking at people who have done 2 to 4 other treatment regimes, have done therapy, have met, you name it, they've tried it, all the drug series, every single kind, nothing touches it. And then they are able to do, one session with psilocybin with, it's like a 4 to 6 hour session. They have 2 psychologists with them the whole time, kind of guiding them. And they have benefits that sometimes can last 6 months from that one dosing, which is mind-blowing, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing ketamine does is it helps with suicidal thinking very quickly. And that's one of the reasons it was, I think, legalized so quickly, because of the benefit that it can give to it's like it gets your brain to stop going there in this kind of an amazing way. So all this to be said, these are trips though. This is not like you're getting this and you're like just feeling comfy. Usually you are dreaming of something weird, like it is bizarre. So you can't drive after, you have to have someone with you. This is costly. Often it's given intravenously. Like, this is a production to get this kind of help, right? And so people who are really desperate and need this help, they're going to do this, right? Mm-hmm. But, lots of researchers now are trying to make this more accessible and helping more people. So introduce microdosing. So microdosing is the idea of, it's like some 2% of the total dose. It's some small amount. So if a regular thing is 2 to 5 grams or something, you're doing 100 milligrams.
And administered by a professional is the other key part of that.
Exactly.
Being monitored while you're taking it.
Right. Well, the microdosing, what happens is you don't have the same level of, it doesn't have the same hallucinogenic effect, but it doesn't have side effects like you can have with antidepressants. I don't know if you guys know this, but antidepressants, when you think about like, oh, when did those come out? What's your guess? Just what pops in your head? Like, how long have those been around?
Probably right around the time that mushrooms and hallucinogenics were demonized, is my guess. It was right around then.
Yeah, I don't know. I think of the 40s and 50s and Mother's Little Helper and, the Rolling Stones song, but I'm sure it's much earlier than that.
Well, what's funny is everybody's needed one probably before that. But
right.
The sort of initial ones were in the 40s and 50s, but those are MAOIs and some other types that have more significant side effects and interact with other medications and life in a tough way. Those are tough medications. So it was never fully adopted. But the ones today, the ones, the SSRIs, the Prozacs, the Lexapro, the Zoloft, that was 1988.
Oh wow. Okay.
88. Jeez.
Right? I was like, Scott, you just graduated from high school.
Graduated high school. Yeah, that is weird to me. I didn't know that. I thought this was like 60s or at least.
No, 1988, and has made a big difference for some people, but across the board, there's a third of people with depression that it doesn't help at all. Mm-hmm. So that's really one of the motivations for doing the psychedelic research, is that we've got access to these compounds and chemicals that make a huge difference in someone's brain. And the improvements are substantial. But now we're getting into double-blind, placebo effect checking, all that kind of stuff. And what we're finding is that microdosing is not, they're not showing yet that when you take out the expectation that it's helping, that it actually helps. But we don't know that fully yet. Only some of these studies support it. And this is what's hard, is in order to really, think of what you know about Tylenol. That's from so much time and effort to know what you know about Tylenol. Mm-hmm. We are babies. This was 2017. I think the first time people said it out loud that we're going to be doing this and looking at this.
Yeah.
So it's a big change. And so for me, going from, I don't know anything about any of this, to having a client just, bless his heart, slowly help me understand the stuff he was learning because he was so desperate for help.
Yeah.
And I just think, no, I don't know, to a couple books. And now I've done a couple trainings. I don't work with it directly, but I will, without hesitation, refer my clients to get this kind of help. But of course, it's following a bunch of different rules, as opposed to like, you know what? You just go find some in a back alley and give it a go.
I'm sure you'll be fine. You could totally do it yourself.
Yeah. Once again, you're not. It's this combination of societal shame, not societal shame, societal judgment or whatever, where we placed these kinds of things, and I think weed falls into this category as well. We put them in whatever cultural taste or distaste they've been in for so long. So now that there's actual science and stuff around the benefits, we still have a hard time separating them. We still think of it as like, we're going to get them
those colors of
It's like you're gonna get them mushrooms out of the backyard, and then you go hide in the garage and smoke that shit. Like that's what people think.
all they think are people with bell bottoms with flowers printed on them, and, and leather vests with fringe on them.
It's hard to like separate the counterculture of it from new knowledge or whatever, which is a human. I know that's a whole other human trait we could probably talk about sometime, but.
So that's why you'll see the younger generation just being like, "What? Why do you even care? Like this has nothing to do with anything else." And we need to respect the indigenous people who create it. Like there's a total different vibe than someone who, grew up at a time where the 60s hippies are just a joke or demonized in their world, right? Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right. And so it is kind of I sometimes wonder, like, what else in history is this exact thing? Mm-hmm. And maybe it's in a different culture or something where there was a stop put to something that really could have been helpful, and it just wasn't, I don't know, someone can come up, I couldn't think of one, but I feel like humans always do the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So this is not the first or the last time.
The Romans did some bullcrap like this. We just can't think of what it is.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Well, and in the end, the people looking at this, and this is the other thing that can be difficult in modern life is, are all these attempts, people have really good intentions to really help people, but we always have sort of money grab and opportunity folks. And so sometimes distinguishing the two is tricky, and actually this is really important, sourcing. Where are people getting this from? Mm-hmm. And is it actually quality? And is it safe? And that's just like any drug. This is the reason we have the FDA. And we sometimes get a bit mad at it, like, wow, they don't sell this thing I need, or, St. John's works, but they've never said it, or whatever the thing is.
Right.
And it's a bit of like, whenever we're grumpy about a thing, we probably really just don't understand it, right? We don't understand what it takes to create something safe, and then that gets put on the mass market and doesn't kill a bunch of people. Then we are furious when there's a hiccup with something or something's recalled. Like, how dare they? Well, it just puts them in a rough position. So they're going to do the thing that they always do. But I would recommend for this person, because, maybe he's listening to me thinking, okay, cool. But also this is scary because this is my relationship with someone I really care about. And I think this thing they're doing is so terrible. And that's really what this email is about. The email is like, I wanted to talk a little bit about the science of it. And there's so much out there you can read. It's new, right? Nature. I have a bunch of links I can send you. But there's a lot of, really serious people talking about this and working on this and doing this. This is not just like nothing. And so take a minute, and before you go tell your sister you are concerned, that you have a basic understanding of this, right? And dive in a little. This is not going to make you into a distributor of psilocybin. This is just going to make you more informed, right?
Yeah.
Because the stigma is real around this, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so you might be hearing me going, well, no, this is nuts. You can't. How dare you?
Yeah, you think cannabis is hard to just demystify in 2023? Guess what's harder? Freaking mushrooms.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Marijuana smells so bad.
Yeah, it does.
Psilocybin, there's no smell. I just tell you. If we could, you can make a bunch of strains. Can someone make the stinkless strain? I really,
no kidding.
Want that.
Hey, I got a question. Kim makes me
It's so
amazing.
stinky.
She makes amazing like homemade mushroom soup for me all the time. It's so good. It's one of my favorite things in the world. Is it possible to do that with these without having it be macro dose? Like, could they do? Is there a strain of these things where it's just like a little teeny bit in there, but it's still also really good soup? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want.
I'm sure that's the future. A restaurant where everything is a microdose of something delicious.
Yeah,
sure. I mean, you could just basically do that by putting a little bit of an actual magic mushroom into the mushroom soup with all the other mushrooms.
Yeah.
The problem with magic mushrooms is that they taste horrible.
They ruin everything.
Yeah, they ruin everything.
I've never.
Okay, so you have to find something else. But
sure.
But I think as time goes on, even just take what was unfathomable to you in your high school years that exists now, and everyone just goes, okay, right?
Oh,
that
big
will
time.
be this, and it will be, these will be prescribed. Some version of this will be prescribed at some point. They will be, that's my prediction. I could be wrong, but you just cannot ignore someone is on death's door, suicidal. Their depression has never been treated, and they've done literally everything, and this thing works.
Yeah.
And not that it cures everything and they're perfectly fine forever, but it's longer lasting. The side effects are way less. Like, there's just really exciting things that are coming out of this.
Nice.
But like all things we touch and do, we make it stupid and worse. And but in the end, the goal is to help people. Now, when you're struggling and you maybe think it's not working with the therapist I have, or I can't find a therapist, or I can't afford this, or everything I've tried isn't working. I've read everything, whatever. And this is what I'm going to do. You're at risk of maybe not getting the best help. So maybe this concern of the emailer might also just be once they educate themselves a little more on this stuff, and I'll send you some links there. So for example, Fireside Project is one of them. MAPS, MAPS, it's a foundation working on the clinical research with psilocybin and MDMA. The Beckley Foundation, EROWID, is a great source for dosing and sourcing and all things. These are lots of people who can teach you and help you understand. And you might say, oh, well, they have an agenda. Okay, great. Then find something that criticizes it. I mean, I read a bunch today just to, prep myself. And I read a bunch of here is our concerns. And all the concerns from any angle is just, maybe we don't know enough and we need to be careful. But we are not seeing the kinds of things that, other treatments people use to survive their life have serious side effects.
Yeah,
right?
the ones that aren't demonized and maybe should be are the ones that hurt people. It really is frustrating to me that we take so long as I don't want to talk about everybody in the world. Maybe others are leaping way ahead of us, but at least here it just feels like we're so resistant to what we see as like a historical moral item, like mushrooms or weed or whatever it may be. It's just like we can't get over ourselves. It's like, well, my grandpa said this. How could that not have been true? Well, your grandpa didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, science was a lot different, a lot less understood.
Yeah.
Right. 1988. Did you see the hair they had at the time?
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's the first time they had an SSRI, which you look at the numbers of how many people are on SSRIs. I mean, you look at the numbers of people who struggle with depression in this world and including like the, second leading cause of death or whatever it might be, right? You look at all those numbers and go, okay, we got to do something, and to find something that is helpful with way less side effects and actually is effective, especially for people who've been suffering just for so long. It's hard not to get excited about. It really is. So if a little research would go a long way before you go and have this conversation, because what you're doing is you're going in with not enough knowledge to then express a concern. So once your concern is a little more educated, right? You might still think, I don't love this. This sucks. And I don't want anyone who is married to my sister doing this thing. And then, but get some more knowledge, calm yourself down, and then have a conversation with your sister about your concerns. You're not a narc. You're not, at this point, whatever this person is doing is mildly illegal, but one day will be fairly legal, right? Whatever this thing is going to, I don't know how long that's going to take, but just go to Oregon or Colorado and it's totally legal, right? So you are...
we'll test it out for everybody else. Don't worry.
Yeah, you try it. Just do some microdosing.
Yeah, we've already decriminalized it here. It's really close to just being offered in dispensaries with everything else.
Yeah. And one of the main concerns this person wrote is that they don't want this to rub off on their sister.
Sure.
Like, I love her so dearly. I don't want her microdosing.
Yeah.
Well,
and here's the thing about that.
Yeah, once again, this is just it's not criticizing. I understand the fear. I get it.
Yeah, of course, because you're around people, you're going to do the things they do.
Absolutely, but it's a fear based on fear. It's just fear
but
based
also,
on fear.
let's be clear. Microdosing is not recreational. It isn't fun. It's not like, woo, Friday night. It is.
You're not getting the big...
You're not high from it. You're not like chilling and sticking your head out of the freaking sunroof in your car like an idiot. This is different than that.
No, and if you have good information, you're taking a small amount every 48 hours because that's how it's done. Like if you're doing it right, this is not drug abuse in any form. You're taking more drugs. Every one of us is taking more drugs than maybe someone doing some microdosing of something every 3 days, right? Like however, if your sister's wife is treating anxiety, depression, mental illness in some form, that doesn't rub off on the other person. So your sister wouldn't need to be microdosing unless she's also suffering.
Those things
right.
Yeah. That is funny that the writer didn't go into detail about why his sister's wife is.
Because if this is just for funsies, all right, then that's a different thing.
Then you're doing it wrong with microdosing.
Yeah. You are wasting money.
Yeah. Go get some edibles or something. Yeah.
And some people like to think, and there's studies on this too, of like, okay, this makes my brain feel sharper. I dress better. I'm funnier. Like we're trying to find a magic pill. That is the human way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. You can't not still do your work. And like, this doesn't solve childhood trauma. This does not heal wounds in relationships. What it does is gives your brain a chance to not be stuck in repetitive, ruminating, suicidal thinking. It gives your brain a chance to, because it's growing some new dendrites, to have some other neural connections that matter, right? Like, but that work does not come because you're just ignoring everything else and dropping a little tablet every 48 hours. Like, it just doesn't, that's not how this works.
What if I microdosed and the first thing I see is a vision of me chasing you through the house with a cold soldering iron that you think is hot and threatening to burn you with it over and over on repeat until the thing wears off? That doesn't sound like a good trip. See, that's the worry I would have. I'm using my example here, but my worry would be...
You said microdose. If microdosing, if that ever happened, you have too much. That's not a microdose. You are...
No.
You're talking about a real dose.
It might all of a sudden help you remember that the actual memory is Wendi chasing you around the house with a hot soldering iron, and you blacked it out.
And now we're getting to the gritty and the nitty here. Yeah, I guess I'm. So if somebody asked me, "Hey Scott, would you do this?" Of course I would do this. I would totally try this because I've talked to people whose microdosing regimen with a professional seems to have changed their life for the better in like drastic ways.
Yeah.
And I'm hesitant to ever go, "Oh, somebody found a magic thing." But knowing them as I know them and knowing their experiences, it sounds like, I hate the word miracle drug, but it sounds like that, wow, finally something after all the years they dealt with this, all the therapy, all the other treatments, all this other stuff, nothing worked.
Yeah.
Not really, not in the long term. And it's not like this person, I almost said their name. This person has done the work. Like you're always saying, do your work. And they've always done their work, but it wasn't enough. To get over whatever hump there was. And then this was it. And it was like this revelation for them. And so I'm on.
Anyone argue with that?
Yeah. I'm on team. Like, let's demystify it, demonize it, and make it happen and help people. And also it'd be nice if the biotech world wouldn't swoop in and decide to charge 400% higher for it than they need to. That'd be good.
For the love. I know.
That'd be good. Because that sucks.
And you smell an opportunity and the people need it, and here we go. But like taking SSRIs as a thing that has destigmatized a little bit over time. Someone's on an antidepressant, they might just say it at work, or like it's just a little more open. And as a new generation is more open, maybe you hear more things like that. Those drugs have side effects, and sometimes they don't work at all. And the premise they're built on, we're really questioning now that the serotonin imbalance is a thing. Now, it's really helpful for some, and then it has not been helpful for others. Like, it is not, that's the hard thing with the brain. It's like we're opening the trunk of a car and we're pouring oil all over and hoping some of it gets in the right place. And that is crappy when we really want black and white answers and understanding. But I mean, we'll get there. And this is one piece of figuring out some of that and relieving distress in the meantime. And so I hear where this person is coming from. I really would encourage them to, do some more research on their own before they make any conversation, rather than having, explain to me what your partner is doing, or I don't want you to get hurt, before you really know much about it. There is, it's a Netflix series. Is it Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia or something? Have you heard of this?
Oh, yeah. It is Netflix, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Netflix. Yeah. That, if you want to just sit on your butt and you don't want to Google, watch that. And you will see this. None of this is about, like, his is just traveling around the world and understanding it and trying to understand the cultural connection to these things. And, just, you don't have to go do drugs because you are learning about this. And maybe that's some stuff from yesteryear, where good people do certain things and bad people do other things, and I will not do what bad people do.
Yeah.
And really, so I get why this can be a little bit scary. But your sister and your relationship with her matter, obviously, very much to you.
Yeah.
So if I said, hey, your sister's wife is on antidepressants, would you go and confront her about that? Because you're worried she'll go on antidepressants as well? Or is it more that the stigma of this is maybe what's
That's a great
driving
way to frame it. That's exactly what I was trying to come up with in my head, is how would you frame it so you could see the fallacy in it? And that's it. That's it right there. If your sister said, "Hey, I'm taking her into therapy and they're going to start her on a, Wellbutrin regimen or something," you wouldn't even bat an eye.
Right.
You just say, "Oh, well, good luck, and I hope your insurance is okay." Like, that's
I hope that doesn't rub off on my sister.
Yeah, nobody does that.
Or depending how you were raised, you might be like, "Oh no, we don't do that. We rub butter on it," right? Like some of this may be old stuff that runs deep, because how did mom and dad talk about mental health? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I work with a lot of folks when I'm like, okay, so how did your parents think of mental health? And they're like, "Oh, you didn't have it. You just shoved it all in and never spoke of it." Right. And so everyone's different. They come from different places. And, it helps, when our dad would juice wheatgrass to feel better.
Yep.
That we're like,
or hypnotize himself.
Different ways.
He'd spend an hour in the corner hypnotizing himself to try to find his wallet or his keys or whatever. And he was always doing these little things, and they were all kind of coping mechanisms.
Biohacking himself.
Yeah, he was biohacking. Yeah, which means, see, I see that. It's easy to see that and laugh, because we certainly did. But I see it differently today. When I see people do stuff like that, I see desperation. Not desperation in a sad
Unmet
way, but
needs.
a need.
Yeah.
And it's somebody who's trying to do the best they can to address the need, because other traditional stuff has not done it for them. So what else are you going to do when you're that desperate and you don't have the right help? It's like, that's where it's at. So it'd be nice if we didn't have to do that. And
access is a problem, right? Like if I've got to go smear butter on my brain thinking that's what I got to do, and that's my first attempt. All of the other things you really should try beforehand. Sometimes it's cost prohibitive. Sometimes it's just logistically prohibitive. There's challenges, and there are people trying to solve that problem and navigate this and figure it out. And believe me, no one's got this down elsewhere in the world. We're actually a little more advanced than everybody in this.
Yeah.
In terms of just, and the joke is, I mean, I have a couple British people in my life who are like, "Oh, Americans always going to therapy." And it makes me laugh. And I'm always like, well, stiff upper lip, see how that works for you.
Yeah, good luck
but
to
it's tricky. And so you may just feel, and this is where those risks can come in. You're desperate, or you're not getting good information. You talk to your doctor about it and they're like, what? Like you can feel this can be a little tricky. So lots of resources out there to get some basic education on this and feel maybe a little better. And then I'm going to say something weird here, but just take your sister out to lunch and like check on her, see how she's doing, make sure she's good and happy. And like you have more influence than you ever knew. And it's not going to be because you're coming in saying, "I'm a narc."
Yeah. You should announce it that way. Just walk in, "I'm a narc," rub some butter on it, and then run. Get out.
And, maybe get real. Like, I don't understand this and I'd like to understand it, rather than you're some police. You're not. You just don't know what this is. And so
it can come as a shock if you, A, don't know what it is, and B, all you have is the demonization of the thing that you just heard about. And so if that's all you come with, you gotta reach out and get more.
Got a little more.
Got a quick follow up here from somebody. I just noticed this in my inbox. I want to read it to you. This is about last week and what we talked about at the beginning, our can't statement and all that.
Yeah.
This is from Barbara, who says, "Hi, Scott, Brian, and Wendi. I just listened to the show last week, and I decided to try changing my can't statement to a don't statement. I didn't really define my can't statement, but the don't statement was clear, and it worked. I found myself reaching for the bad habit twice that night. Both times my don't statement came into my head, and I didn't do the bad habit. Yay me. Thank you for all the great advice and weird analogies over the years, Barbara." Yeah, it's awesome, right?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good.
So if you need to change it to a don't statement, that's okay.
Yeah. Re-listen to last week.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work for you, you can microdose mushrooms.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Go back 10 years and I can't even hear that coming out of your face, but there it is.
It is like a 180 for me, 100%. I would have never thought that, because I just had no idea until I've learned. And because I have access to stuff y'all don't have, which is I get to watch like the best in the world do therapy in trainings. And I'm watching them work with, my methodology that I do and I love and I think is really effective with someone who has used psilocybin and then sort of as they're processing afterwards, and it's like cheating. It's like skipping 50 sessions. I'm like, what am I watching? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. But that's, of course, in the confines of a monitored, well-run situation. And so it's exciting.
Sure. A well-regulated militia. Wait, that's a different thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, as always, pleasure hanging out and talking to you. And people should check out realsteps.org. You got a bunch of promo for that earlier today because Amy was here. Amy Robinson.
Oh, yeah, Amy. Woo! Yep. Yes, it's good. We're wrapping up our last week. We'll have another session in the fall. We have a couple of different other things happening. I will let people know, but you can put your email. I promise I will not spam you at all. I'm very bad at the email. But realsteps.org, just so we know how to find you.
Yeah, she's not going to spam you because she doesn't really know how to do that. And so take heart. Take heart in that.
I'm
you know what?
terrible at the spam.
You start microdosing before you know it. You'll be a brilliant hacker and programmer, Wendi. That's
yes. And then next week, I have a really cool thing I'm going to ask you guys to help me with.
All right.
I just can't forget. If I forget, I'm just telling you to remind me.
So next week we just say
you've met us, right? Like you know, we're not the anchor by which you should chain your don't forget boat.
Is anybody in the chat willing to remind us next week that I have something to share? Okay,
much better.
Yeah, and we'll remember to say something. We'll just go, hey, you had a thing, and then you'll go, oh shoot, I forgot to do it, or whatever.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. This is how the sausage is made, everyone.
Go make your sausage. This sounds great. Say hi to the kids, the family, and the whatnots, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. That was pretty great. I don't know a lot about that world either, so it's interesting to hear about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody famous the other day was saying it changed their whole freaking outlook. Oh, comedian Bill Burr always talks about it.
Oh, really? Interesting.
He microdosed in the method Wendy's talking about, and he says everything's different.
His mind and,
just changed everything. I mean, he's still kind of a sassy comedian, but it changed things. All right, we're going to be done here, and to do that, we have to say goodbye. However, I'm on the wrong screen. Here we go. There it is. I do want to mention some shows that are coming up. No Coverville today. You're in the return mode right now, and
that's right.
No
I didn't.
Show.
Yeah, even though I'm here and I could do a show, I didn't have the time to prep one for this week, so we're taking the week off. Which
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Once in a while, you got to do that to yourself. Yep. But tonight you'll be getting Core at 5 p.m. You'll be getting a skim later today. Kim's coming in the office. We're going to sit down. She won't complain, but she'll look around at my messy office and just kind of make a face. That's how that'll go.
Tisk. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to clean it. And Guess the Connection tomorrow before Playdate. That'll be good.
Right. So there you do get some covers for me this week and a chance to win some prizes. I think I'm giving away a pair of 90s X-Men animated series glasses. So there's a Rogue and a Wolverine with artwork from the 90s animated X-Men series, which is getting its comeback later this year from Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not sure quite what to expect, but I'm excited to find out.
Sure.
Someone in the chat mentioned it, and I tweeted it earlier, but they announced this morning they're doing a Scott Pilgrim anime on Netflix, a series.
Yeah, and everybody's coming back.
Yeah, the whole cast, everybody.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Winstead and Michael Cera and
everybody, Chris Evans, all those guys. And It's going to be
because they could do that from anywhere, really.
Right. Executive produced by the director. Getting his name all of a sudden. Not Simon Pegg.
Not Edgar Wright. No,
Edgar Wright. That's it. Edgar Wright.
It is Edgar Wright.
Yeah. The one that works with Simon Pegg all the time.
Right.
So that looks awesome and is very exciting. Oh, also, we mentioned it, Playdate, 10 to noon tomorrow. So we'll have a 2-hour block there to play Among Us with the community.
Yeah.
Yep. So come on by. You don't have to be a patron to be there, although patrons will get first added to games. So if you want to play with us, you're going to want to be a patron. But even then, there's often room on the tail end for
almost always.
Yeah.
Always room. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to be playing that and having a blast. That'll be tomorrow, 10 a.m. to noon Mountain Time. And then Film Sack this weekend, we're finally watching Cobra. Okay?
Yay!
I guess we got to hurry.
I've never seen.
Because Randy might have been right. I think maybe they're dropping it on the 1st.
Really?
Yeah, I was so sure he was going to be wrong on this, and I think he might have been right.
Which service is it?
HBO, I think.
Okay.
And I think HBO lists when something's leaving.
That's what I was going to go check and see, yeah.
I think. Last time I checked, they did that.
Jeez. God, because they, it feels like they just got it. I don't know how long it's been up there, but it can't have been up there a super long time, or we would have noticed it. Somebody would have said, "Hey,
yeah,
this one doesn't say leaving soon." So
doesn't?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe we're okay. Maybe we're all right.
Yeah,
I mean, we're definitely all right for the next couple of days, everybody. But so if you want to sneak it in, get in quick. But
yeah, just do it. If you're planning on doing it, do it.
Yeah, but I am rather stoked because it's like our white whale. It just keeps being available and then going somewhere, and we're like, oh, damn it, we're not going to get it. Okay.
Pops up its little head, a little cobra head, and then pops it back down.
Yeah. So I'm all in on catching it this time, and
featuring music by Miami Sound Machine and John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
Good Lord.
Yay.
Good Lord. Get that soundtrack, Brian. Get that on vinyl. Woo!
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. Cobra. Who said this, Icor? Cobra, 2 female detectives have to share underwear. That's a great idea. Nope, it's not that.
Traveling bra.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Anyway, there's your lineup coming up. It's all up on the calendar as well, so check that out. Please join us on our Patreon if you have not already. We are nearing the end of the month and the beginning of a brand new month. There's no reason why not to hop in now because you'll be eligible for all the stuff we send out and do in the month of April. It's going to be a busy month. There's TMS Vegas in there and all that other stuff, but being a patron will help it all happen. So go to patreon.com/TMS today and sign up. We're going to get out of here now, but I can't go unless there's a music song.
Well, I've got a music song for you. Music song tune. This one going out to Chad Rasmussen. Rasmussen probably. Hi, Bacon and Sausage. Let's say that one. Today, which both were on my plate, my full Irish. And then I left an empty Ibbit. And wrecked a casino bathroom. Today, I'm requesting a song for my 50th Go Around the Sun.
Oh my gosh, 50? Shit.
50.
Let's party.
It's half a century, man.
It is. I couldn't decide on a song, so I'm leaving it up to the cover master. I'm a Slipknot, especially Corey Taylor, Foo Fighters, Florence and the Machine, and In This Moment fan, so anything you think would fit among those would be great. I'm Dayron in Discord, and the rare times I get to listen live in Twitch. I'm that too. I'll be attending my first TMS Vegas this year, so I'm really looking forward to meeting both of you in person. Us too.
Yeah.
Before I go, could I hear Veronica enjoying some sausage and maybe Scott making one of his weird scared noises?
Oh, sure. So here's Veronica. Let's see. I know I have it.
Sausage.
Okay. And boy, it just seems to go forever. And then
it really does.
Where's me screaming? Hold on. No, that's a honking sound. Let's see. No. Hold on. Where is that? I have that handy. Here it is. There you go.
Great.
Hey, the good news is I'm playing Resident Evil 4 Remake now, and every Tuesday at 5 p.m. you can hear me do that more. So check it out.
Fantastic.
Anyway.
All right. So how about a cover of All My Life by Foo Fighters? This one came from the BBC Radio Live Lounge 2013. It's a nice, almost acoustic, but not fully acoustic take on All My Life. This one performed by Frank Turner, of course, like I said, back in 2013 for Live Lounge. Great rendition. Hope you all enjoy it. Frank Turner, All My Life by Foo Fighters.
All right. For everybody else that won't see us this weekend, we'll see you on Monday.
If you like what you just heard, there's a very good chance you will like all the shows on the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Let's see some activity.
All right. You want some activity? Activity. Diplomatic immunity.
Pretty easy to hear that when you hear that.
Have you guys voted for your titles? Frogpants.showbot.tv